Hey, listen, would you guys be okay if I said that it's not possible to do, boom, did you guys feel that? Not possible to do what we do today or to have this kind of event without my team, so I really want to give a round of applause for them. They came early here to set up. How many of you got like 1,000 texts from my events crew? Anybody? Like, don't be late, dude, make sure you show up on time, etc. I want to share something real quick and then we're going to get into this. How many of you saw the email that I sent that said, I'm making today custom to you, yet I sent out over 100 emails and I got 11 responses. That's not bad. It's an 11% return on an investment. It's pretty good. So is Sue here? Sue said weight loss resistance. Do we have a Gaynor here? Is Gaynor here? Fantastic. So hair loss, Graves' disease, is it reversible? Yes, it is. We're going to talk about that. Charlotte, what a beautiful name, right? IBS, Charlotte, is Charlotte here? Front seat, all right. IBS, digestion related to thyroid. We're going to talk about that today. Linda said weight loss despite I'm exercising 3 to 4 times a week, doing everything right. What a great email. What a great email. Richard, low back pain? Yes, we're going to talk about that. It is related. It is related. And then I have those who were either too afraid to put their name or their email just said email, didn't have a name, and I couldn't decipher it, like SB2796. I don't know who that is, but can you explain the thyroid liver gut connection? Yes! Guys, that's the secret. The secret is your thyroid actually works only when your liver and your gut are working. So do you see why so many people come and say, my test is normal, but I still have this problem? It's because it's a liver-gut issue, not a thyroid issue. I had some people saying difficulty losing weight. Anybody? Who would like literally, when Angela said 20 pounds in 4 weeks, I thought the room would have gone, whoa! 20 pounds in 4 weeks? Seriously, should it be 30? Okay, I'll pull that off. Brain fog, right? Fatigue. Here's what fatigue looks like, guys. Thyroid fatigue. I'm going to just spill a little bit. 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, like, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like, wow! And then 10, 11, 12, restless brain, and then waking up at 3 in the morning. Specifically 3 in the morning, and you'll see why in a moment. Somebody says, I'm losing the thickness of my hair. I have less hair, and the diameter of my hair is changing. I have baby fine hair. Okay, I don't know who that was, but you're here. This one is brilliant. And we're like, listen, I built this talk off these, and I'm going to give you a second to like give me a list of what was not on here for you. But somebody said, my doctor said, my labs show subclinical hypothyroidism. What should I do now so that I don't ever have to start taking medication? So who would like to either reduce, get off, or reverse medication exposures for their thyroid? Or what about something else? Diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol. You guys are going to find today they are all interconnected. There's a hierarchy system in our body. If our thyroid is off, everything else is off. And most of the time when I work with someone that has diabetes, what do they actually have as the cause of their diabetes? Thyroid problem. But how many times have you ever been told, we don't know what's causing it? So today is going to be groundbreaking. And in a moment, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to add to that list of what we're going to do today. But I have a question. Who knows what this is? What is this a symbol of? Yes, ma'am. Say it again? Yes and no, but what, like, if we were going to just look at this and say, if I see that, I think medicine, I think physicians, etc. Does anybody know the actual name of this? What is this?
Kundalini energy for me.
Well, yes, from that perspective, which none of them will understand. But, ready? What's the name of this? Does anybody know the name of this symbol? Starts with a C, ends in usis. Wow, we have a lot of teaching to do today. Caduceus. It's a caduceus. It is the symbol of medicine. It is a staff with a globe at the top that should have light coming off of it. So it's a light staff with 2 angelic wings and 2 serpents. Anybody know where they got this symbol from and why we use it for medicine today? You would think scripture, right? Biblical, etc. Nope, it's a Greek mythological god, the Hermes of Mercury. Notice, what is he holding? A caduceus. Now, I'm not here to say anything about this other than the symbol that I read in. God gave all of you an ability to heal yourself, and I believe there's a big thing behind the symbols. Hermes had 3 jobs. 1, he was the god of alchemy. He would make potions and elixirs. So I want you to of medicine. Drugs. His job was to teach people how to make money. Do we make a lot of money off of drugs today? Whoo! It's big business, isn't it? And then sadly, his last job was to escort souls of the dead to hell. So I started thinking for a moment when I saw this, and I'm like, we have a symbol for medicine that stands for making drugs, making money off of them, and sending your soul to hell. Now it goes deeper. It goes deeper. Who is known as the angel of light biblically? Satan. He's also known as the masquerader of the angel of light. He can appear angelic, but he's also the enemy. His first physical form on earth was serpent. Do you think we have 2 serpents sliding their way up the staff, or the light staff of the angel of light? Because he had 2 purposes: to masquerade as the angel of light, to deceive us into thinking he was God, and then second was to be the devil himself. So I look at this and I go like, my gosh, we are symbolically acknowledging that medicine is a satanic approach towards healthcare. Yikes! Yikes! So, the reason I am here is, I didn't know that. For the longest time, I wanted to be a medical doctor. Okay, when I grew up, I was born in the mid-'70s, very popular to do forceps deliveries, etc. I was a forceps baby. I got stuck in the birth canal. They had to fracture my collarbone for me to come out. And I was your classic healthy child. You know what a healthy child has? Ear infections, sinus infections, croup, whooping cough, diphtheria. We get vaccinated to try to protect us against. We express chicken pox. We have colds and flus. I developed asthma when I was 2. That I couldn't breathe at night. I don't remember this, but my parents tell me often that they would have this monitor. Can you imagine in the 80s what a monitor must have been like, right? They had this monitor so that they could tell if I was like, and rush to the hospital, ERs. I lived the majority of my life in a hospital, so much so that the reason I wanted to become a medical doctor is that's pretty much all I knew. I was there for everything. I was allergic to air, pollen, dust, dogs, humans, you name it, food. Like literally, you know they do those pin pricks? They did my whole back, both my legs, both my arms, front and back, my face, my skull, because they're like, we're running out of room. Everything is testing positive. And my parents, like all parents, of course, go, well, we want to figure out what's going on. So we went to pediatrician, doctor after doctor after doctor. I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis when I was 16 years old. Does anybody know what that is? It is an incurable condition of an inflammatory / autoimmune response to lymph tissue. So I was swelling up all over the place. I had knots on my skull. I had things removed. They cut open my face, took little things out, lumps. I had one here. They cut my neck open and took that out. All of my arms, all down my back, everything. My lungs were filling with scar tissue. And every doctor kept saying this. What? No, not how am I alive. They would tell my parents, we do not know what's going on. No one in your family has this condition. We have no clue what's happening. I lived my life sucking down inhaled sprays. I would get vaccines and shots and allergy shots every week practically. I took medications for my heart, for my lungs. My hands used to shake, so they gave me an anti-anxiety medication to slow that down. I mean, I was a healthy individual. Healthy, according to them. Nothing was wrong. All my blood tests said perfect. All my scans, except for the fact my lymph nodes were filling up, everything was wrong. I met this doctor when I was about maybe 20. I was dating my now wife at the time. She was going to a chiropractor. She had really bad scoliosis. He starts to introduce me to this concept. He's like, hey, you know, like your nerve system runs everything. I wonder if we should take a look. Found out I had full-blown scoliosis, had no clue about it. I had an inverted neck. My neck, instead of bending this way, bent this way. Severe nerve damage because of my birth process. I grew up where Corn Puffs, Cocoa Puffs, Fruity Pebbles, etc. was a classic breakfast. We had, you know, all of this, and Snickers bars and Diet Cokes were better than regular Cokes. So my mom would literally say, well, Diet's better than regular, so you as a child should drink Diet. Like, I came from a messed up family. They didn't know anything about health. and I wanted to become a medical doctor. So I go to pre-med school, I study, I get accepted into med school, I start studying medicine. I figured I'm going to go big. I went and did an MD, PhD program because I thought if I could figure out how to get myself well, then maybe I could help other people when they find out their tests are normal. And I was doing cancer research at the National Cancer Institute. My job essentially was to meet with someone that had cancer, pull their blood every 15 minutes, analyze it, and try to figure out how their body was responding to the chemotherapy drugs. And I thought that was what healthcare was. And then I met a doctor who said, yeah, you know, like, I don't know that I would ever do this again. I remember the day that I asked my doctor, the guy who I was working for, I said, if you had an option of doing this again, like if you were me going through this to go through school, would you do this again? He's like, absolutely not. And I asked him why, and he goes, because we're still losing the war on health. Medicine cannot fix healthcare today. It can't fix it because it's so broken because our approach is so backwards. What's the problem with medicine today? Could you guys tell me? Like, give me an example. Why can't we fix cancer, heart disease, diabetes, MS, etc.? Why can't we do that? Not just big money, but the approach is to do what? Treat the symptom and ignore what? The cause. To ignore why you have your condition. So if you're here today and you have a thyroid problem, I promise you, A, your head is going to explode. You're going to go, I've never heard that before. No one has ever said that. My doctor said something opposite of that, and you have a choice. You get to decide, do you listen to that or do you listen to this? It's yours. Choice is always yours. I read something coming here today from one of my mentors that said, we are given a gift in our brains. Think about this for a second. You have the power in your brain to, if you can see yourself healthy, wealthy, whole, fit, whatever, if you have the capacity to see it, then it means it can happen only if you do what? Go after it. Not just believe in it, because if you didn't believe it, you wouldn't see it. So if you already see it, you believe in it, you have to go after it. You have to do something to go for it. And the crazy thing is, this is something that we've known for eons. If you ask a cancer patient, are you going to survive your cancer? And they say no, what happens? They don't. If they say absolutely, what happens? So you have the power today to decide if you walk through that door a healthier individual or the same as you've always been. And I know that some of you are here today looking for a difference because you kept responding. I want to learn how to do this. I want to figure this out. We prayed over every single one of your seats. We asked God to bless your seat as if you had this supernatural connection to knowledge, understanding, and peace. Because I know sometimes I say stuff and you guys go, huh? What? And all I can say is, if you choose to do what I teach you today, I promise you, you'll get better. What I'm going to give you is 10 years of clinical experience getting out of medicine. I dropped out of medical school. I went straight to chiropractic school. Everyone in the family thought I was insane. I went to a functional medicine school to study how to implicate change in the human body without using drugs. Everyone in my family thought, that's nuts. Nobody's going to listen to that. I studied physical therapy, chiropractic care, scoliosis correction. I'm still in school today because I believe you should never quit learning. And the challenge today is most of us have never learned what we need to do for our health. So could somebody tell me something other than what I listed as to why they are here today? What are you guys hoping to get out of today? Oh, those crickets are loud. And I do hear them. Do you guys hear them? Let's go for it. What do you guys want to know? Give me, like, that's like life, right? Okay, health is huge, and everybody wants this, yes? But let me ask you a question. Why don't we have it? Or why might you be here today going, I'm looking to better my health? For what reason, typically?
I want to live longer.
There we go, right? Hey, listen, we need to warm this room up. Like, either there's something, a cloud of something over you guys, like, I'm going to come at you, right? Maybe it is the brain fog. I'm going to come at you, but I'm going to come at you with love, okay? I know this is intense, but you have to engage yourself. If you sit back and you just listen, I promise you, you're going to get out of here and you go, what did he just say? I promise you, it is deep, but it's philosophical, and at the same token, it's easy. Health, we need it because we want to live longer, right? But yeah, right, it's about quality. But really, what does the quality, Q-A-L-I-T, what does the quality give us? Ability, right? And usually the ability is to do things or have things or be with our family, etc. But now here's the challenge. if you go about health the way you've been trained to, and I'll give you classic examples of this. Somebody tell me some things you could do to get healthy. Like if you want to fix your thyroid, or if you want to lose 20 pounds, you want to reverse blood pressure. Right now, before me teaching you anything, what would you guys do? Okay? What else? Well, I heard somebody say, take what? So I would heard say, take my meds, right? Because that's what we've been programmed. I heard exercise, right? What else would you do? That's this, eat healthier. Should I put eat healthier? Not just eat healthier, right? Say it again. That's mindset, right? So I'm going to put this over here, though, because this is not what most people do. Did you guys hear what he said? Did you hear what he said, though? He said, I would have a vision board. I would put out there into the universe what I want to see for myself so I can meditate on it every single day. If I want to lose 20 pounds, I'm going to go download a photo of a man who's 20 pounds lighter with chiseled abs and stick them on my vision board. So every day I look at that would be for me. Every day I look at that, and what am I doing? I'm programming my brain for the ability to see it. That's what you should do, but that's not what we do, though, is it? Now, I want to help you. These have nothing to do with health. Nothing. Why? Because if you could just give me an example, can a vegan still get sick? Do vegans eat well? It depends on your definition of well. Do they think they eat well? Yes. Do vegetarians believe they eat well? Yes. Does juicing and detoxing, is all of that good for your health? But is it the definition of health? If you pulled out the dictionary and you saw health, does it say, in order to be healthy, you must eat a vegetarian lifestyle? It does not say that. It doesn't say anything about eating, nor does it say anything about food. Because do you know someone who eats poorly but doesn't have your condition? Smokes and drinks every day, right? Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, etc. And you're over here, right, like I was, salads and smoothies and rocks and sticks and mud, going, why isn't this working, right? So we had this like little subtle conversation about it, right? Working out like crazy, doing ketogenic diets, everything else, but nothing's coming off. Why? It's because that's not health. It's not health, okay? Is medication health? If anything, would you guys agree with me? The more meds you're on, the worse you are. But isn't that a conundrum? We want to get well, and they offer us medications. I suggest you model someone who has what you want. Find someone that doesn't have a thyroid problem, and do they take levothyroxine? No. So what should you not do? It flies in the face of everything, doesn't it? Well, I was told my T4 is low. I was told I have to be on this stuff. The answer is, who told you, and do you believe them, and are you going to follow their advice? Ask your doctor this. If you guys are here taking a medication, I promise you, send them an email right now and say, hey, how many people do you have that once you put them on this drug, got off of it, and their thyroid was better? Just ask them, and they will say often what? None. Is that the kind of doctor you want to go after? Now, I have thousands of people I've worked with that are no longer taking medications. Why? Because I teach what health is, not what it is not. And the hardest part for me is I've got to get inside of your brain and unprogram what you've been trained. It's literally like I have to teach you a new language. And is that hard in the beginning? And so is it going to be difficult today at times? Are you going to go, that makes my brain numb? Yes. But here's the thing. Be okay with it. Exercise. If I'm an Olympic athlete, I CrossFit 6 times per day, am I healthy all of a sudden? Is it part of health? Yes, but can you never exercise and be healthy? Yes. Can you exercise all the time and be sick? So what I'm looking for are the core principles. What is it that makes us have our health? And ultimately, the answer is inside of the Word. It's our ability to heal. And what you have to learn today is this. The reason you're sick is simply one thing. For some reason, there is an interference with your ability to heal. That's it. Something is blocking your ability for your body to heal itself, and that's why you have your condition. I'll give you an example. If I break my leg and I cast it and I put the two bones next to each other and it doesn't heal, it doesn't grow back together again, we would often say, something's wrong, because the human body is designed to do what? Heal itself. It is designed. If you have a thyroid problem, it should have healed itself, and there's a reason why it hasn't. And your job is to find that reason. Does that make sense? And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but there's only 3 things that prevent you from healing. There's 3 interferences. And what we're going to do today is we're going to digest each of those 3 apart. And your question is to find out which one do you have, or do you have 2 or all 3 of them. Does that make sense with you guys? So the key with this is understanding, A, you must find why you're not healing. You must also find out why you want to be healthier. Turn over to, I think it was the front sheet of your packet. It looks like a stool. There is like 3 white legs coming down, a little disc at the top. It should look something like this. So this, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to give you an analogy to see if you guys can help me to understand this, all right? Is it easy to stand on one leg or not? Okay? But for us, the second we put 2 legs down, we're pretty good, but is that really true stability yet? Am I really stable? No. If I had a 3rd leg, if God gave us 3 legs, we would be able to never, ever, ever fall over. It's called the tripod effect. Are you guys familiar with this? It's also the Trinity. It takes all 3 aspects of the healing powers to be in your life, God the Father, the Spirit, and the Son. 3 is a very significant biblical number. The reason that I use a stool analogy is this. If you're putting all of your eggs into one basket, like your diet, your nutrition, your exercise, your fitness, that is one leg. But let me ask you this. Why do we eat healthy? Is it to do something specific in our body? So like, as an example, if I eat a poor diet, is it the fact I'm eating a poor diet that makes me sick, or is it the fact that the poor diet is doing something to my body that I get sick? So what do these poor diets do to us? Do they increase or decrease chemical exposures, toxicities, and what I would call metabolic stresses? They increase it. So what you need to understand is this. There are 3 core foundations. Your gut, which is how you absorb all nutrition, how you process information. It's going to blow your mind. Guys, right now the science is this. They are estimating that your intestines actually house all of your neurotransmitters. They come from here. So serotonin, which makes you feel good, dopamine, which gives you a rush of energy, epinephrine, which could make you run around in circles filled with energy, comes from your gut. So does all of your hormones. So does all of the absorption of everything inside of your body. So if your gut is not working, if your digestive system is out, then you can't have your health. Now, how would you guys assess right now if your gut is working? What do most people say to me? I go to the bathroom. Okay, stuff comes out, it must be working. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about at a cellular level, are you in a healthy state with your gut? Bacteria, relationships, everything else, we're going to talk about that. Your gut is vitally important because everything you absorb comes from that, and every chemical process in your body is connected to your intestines. Your thyroid will not work without your gut working, nor will other hormones. Secondly, the amount of chemical toxins or stress, chemical stress in your body. The reason diet helps is a clean diet helps your body to detox. It by itself does not heal you. Does that make sense? So if I ate nothing but apples every day, it would be a decent diet, but it's not going to fix my health because it can only assist a process of what your body should be doing, which is it should be healing by itself. Does that make sense? Same thing with exercise. Why do we exercise? It's not because we want to build more muscle or burn fat or anything else. Exercise has one primary side effect. Do you guys know what it is? It enhances a natural process in our body that gets toxins called sweat. Exercise makes you get chemicals out of your body, which is why it's helpful, but does removing chemicals by themselves. If all you did was remove chemicals from your body, would you heal? Would you be healthy? No, because it's one leg. Do you guys understand this? It's as if, okay, listen, I have people who are like, I eat well, I exercise, I detox. That's great. You're reducing your chemical stress, but what are you doing about your gut? And what are you doing about your master system, your nerve system, which runs everything? What are you doing about your brain, your spinal cord, all the nerves that control all parts of your body? Did you even know that your glands are connected through your nervous system? Do you guys see it's a whole picture for your health? And today what's going to happen is you're going to have this epiphany moment going, I wonder if it is my gut. And I'll show you how you can find out. I wonder if I have too many chemicals in me, and maybe I need to start pulling them out, not by doing the master cleanse, not by doing a 3-day juice fast, which doesn't actually pull anything out. and we have to go after your nerve system. Does that make sense to you guys? So what I'm going to teach you today is this, not secret, it's a philosophical concept that your health, what you want in your life, is built on those three foundations. So at the top, where that chair is empty, what I'd like you to do is right here, what do you want? If you want your thyroid better, you write thyroid there. If you want your health better, write health, but put something specific, because health is kind of like just a generic term. Does that make sense? If you're here today and you want to lose 30 pounds, you put 30 pounds there. If you want to get rid of blood pressure, you put blood pressure there. Does that make sense? And the reason it's important to write this down is, if you don't write it down, you'll never see it in your mind, and you'll never be able to go back and reflect on it. Does that make sense? Are you guys ready? Okay. So years and years and years ago, I met this woman. My wife is, at the time, she was my everything. And I did everything for her. We built our lives together. We tried to have children. We tried to bring a family into this world, and we struggled with it because of the fact that A, I was so sick, and B, so was she. We didn't know we were sick, though, because everything said, everything looks great. 10 years married, no children, trying all the time. And I don't know if you guys have ever gone through this or had somebody who's dealt with this, but it is a big stressor. Would you agree? Big stressor. Long story short, after finding out what was going on with my health and fixing it, and finding out that my wife was misdiagnosed as being hypothyroid, every doctor's like, it's got to be the thyroid. They started throwing medications at her. We discovered that it wasn't her thyroid. It was actually an issue she had from being exposed to mold and being exposed to Lyme. My wife got diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease, and the medical association's method of working with that is to just toss gobs and gobs and gobs of antibiotics at it. Now, let me ask you a question. Taking antibiotics, what does that do to the intestines? Does it make them better or does it make them worse? Kills the bacteria in your intestines. Does it increase or decrease the toxicity in the body? Increases. So the medical approach was wiping out two legs. I believe the only reason my wife is still here today is because as a chiropractor, I was adjusting her 3 or 4 or 5 times a day to try to keep her nerve system going. Then we discovered what I'm going to teach you today on how to fix those two, started reversing and repairing her intestines, detoxing her body, and I kid you not, within months of us doing that, boom, my first child came. We call Ava our angels because I do not have blonde hair, nor does my wife. I do not have blue eyes, they're hard to see, and nor does my wife. And everybody told us, we're like, hey, listen, you guys have put the time, energy, the effort in. This is your gift. This is what you brought into the world. And I am, because I know that there's an amazing change that can happen for you guys. You just need to understand what you need to do in your life. And now I've been blessed with a second. Gavin is definitely another angel. He does have blue eyes, and we are still waiting to figure out what that is. He turned 11 months. He turned 11 months 2 days ago, and is literally like, he's an angel for me. Both of my kids, you guys are going to think I'm nuts with this. Both of my kids are unvaccinated. They've never set foot in a medical office. They've never been to a pediatrician. They've never had any interference. Neither of them have had anything wrong with their health. No colds, coughs, sniffles, flus, nothing. No chicken pox, no ear infections. And I believe it's because I built their foundation from the ground up only because I knew to do it. And the beautiful thing about this is if you're at a point in your life where there's a health issue, rebuild your foundation, and it's like your body just goes, I've got this. I can do it. And I promise you, I know it sounds strange, but I've seen it happen. And it's this simple. You just need to understand what you need to do. The reason I do the radio show, I do these seminars every month, I take people out to eat is, I have noticed, help me out with this, is anybody teaching people how to let their bodies heal by themselves to the degree that you can be your own doctor? Would you agree? Is anybody doing this? So I felt the calling to say, make it happen. I've been on the radio now for 5 years. We have more followers than I can even imagine. I have people emailing us going, I listened to your radio show. It was amazing. I've lost 30 pounds. I'm off 2 medications. I've never met you in my life. You're a saint. Oh my God, thank you so much. There is so much greatness inside of you. And I just pray today that you are able to let it come into your mind and just spark something. Even if it's like, I got something, I'm going to go try this. Does that make sense? I know some of you might need some help, so we're going to offer some things to you. Discounts on blood tests, exams, evaluations. I will explain all of that in a moment. I know some of you have already looked through it and probably saw the numbers, and you're like, oh God, 8:97. Where am I? How do I get out of here? But just understand it's an amazing day for you. Now, there is a concept that I teach, which is this. Are you guys familiar with the idea of this 3%, 90% rule? Has anybody ever heard of this before? Okay, here's what they say, okay? If you were to institute a draft, if we were to go to war, if World War III happened, which who knows, it might, but if World War III happened and they said, no one's volunteering, we must institute a draft. The reason they do that is they've discovered only 3% of people ever volunteer to do something outright for the good of humanity. So if I said, I'm looking for people to stand up and fight for this country, if they asked 1,000 people to do it, only 3% of them would say, let's take up arms and go after it. Did you guys know that? Did you know that if I give you the secrets today on how to have $1 million investment guaranteed in 20 years, only 3% of you would actually walk out of here and go start that investment? If I gave you a book that guaranteed you could lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks, all the diets, all the guidelines, shopping guides, even gift cards to go buy the food, only 3% of you would actually go do that. And why is that? Can somebody help me? Why do the majority of times when we're given an answer, we don't see it in our lives or we never see it happen? Why is that? So I heard subconscious beliefs, meaning we think something different. Seriously, I can have $1 million in 20 years because we start questioning, right? We've been instructed too that most of the time we don't think we can have greatness in our lives. We think that's for someone else, not me. I don't know if it's the perversion of society today, but I think it's because mainstream media does nothing but show you how negative the world is. TV commercials and medicine say stuff like this, right? Hey, do you have the following? Because if you do, and they pre-program us to see our lives as defective rather than as great. Often what you'll see is we'll come up with an excuse for something. So I'll give you an example. If I said that the first person that walks up here does 25 jumping jacks, turns around 3 times and shouts hallelujah, will be healed, all of their disease is gone. How come no one's running up right now? Someone should be doing this. Because what happens is, right now in your brain, just help me with this. What are you thinking? Just give me an example. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. There's no way. I've done jumping jacks before. I wasn't healed. I've said hallelujah before I wasn't healed. If I put the two together, it's still not going to work. You guys understand? This guy's nuts. This is crazy. Because what we do is we rationalize ourselves out of it. But I promise you this, we now know today, if you did it, and if you believed in it, guess what happens? It happens. And that's what I want for you guys today. Decision, you get to make it. Choice, failure is a choice. The only problem is we will rationalize this. We'll say, well, it wasn't the right timing. Well, I didn't have enough resources. Well, I'm allergic to that food. You said that food was going to make me lose weight. I can't eat that food, so I'm going to give myself an excuse. Does that make sense? It's a choice. You get to decide. So today, I'm going to go over these 3 causes, what they are, in depth, in detail, and discuss the tests that you need to get to test them. And I'm going to let the secret out of the bag. Can your medical doctor run a test to find out the function of your digestive system? Can they tell you at a cellular level if your microbiome is healthy, if you have the right bacteria, if you're leaking or not? Can they do that? They cannot. And here's the reason that they wouldn't even test for it. Do we have a drug today that can change and enhance the bacterial relationship in your intestines and tighten the junctions that may be causing a leaky gut? Now here's what's crazy. If we don't have a test for it and we don't have a drug for it, that's why it's never recommended to you. Does that make sense? Who's ever been told something like this? There's nothing else we can do. Anybody? Or know someone that's had that? We don't know what to do. You've tried everything. We're at our end. The only reason they say there's nothing else to do is because there's nothing else that they can do. But that should be your sign in your brain to say, you know what? Then that means it is my responsibility now for me to do it. You're also going to find out that why often when we run a test, if we have a test run, it usually comes back normal, specifically for thyroid. This happens a lot. And I talk to people all the time. I'm a classic thyroid symptoms. I have this. My TSH is normal. My T4 is normal. But I don't understand what's going on. How can that be? How can a medical test be normal, but there still be a problem? We're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to show you the one thing that I've learned over the last 20 years of how to take this one thing, implement it, and get instant healing. You could even implement it today and tomorrow wake up and be healthier. Who would like to learn that one thing out of curiosity? Beautiful. Beautiful. So, you ready to go deep? You should have notepads. I encourage you to take a lot of notes. because I promise you at some point, again, your brain's going to go, that's strange. All right? Your thyroid is not just something that sits in your neck. It is right here, by the way, just under your Adam's apple. Little tiny guy. It looks like a butterfly, so they call it the butterfly gland. It sits right under your throat, has a left and right side, something in the center called an isthmus that connects the two. But oftentimes, you're told your thyroid simply regulates your hormones and metabolism, yes? So it's kind of coincidental. It makes sense for us to say something like, if you have a weight issue, it could be your thyroid. And in fact, I was just sharing this with my team. Did you guys know right now, in the veterinarian profession, they're saying this: if your dog is overweight, it's probably their thyroid. So they're now prescribing levothyroxine for pets. I kid you not. Google this. And the article says because it's so dangerous, the drug is so dangerous, the whole article was make sure your vet is prescribing the right dose for your dog. They gave you the dosing instructions. They said if your dog weighs 10 pounds, they should have 0.1 milligrams, because if you got a 0.2 milligram dose and your dog is 10 pounds, your dog will die. Now, if you think about this, they're going after it that deep for your pet. Why aren't they going after it that deep for you? Levothyroxine is one of the most dangerous drugs today because it does something that you guys don't realize it does. It actually stimulates growth in your body. It makes cells replicate and duplicate, which sounds a lot like cancer. It wrecks your hormone process, and it forces your body to store fat for fuel instead of burning fat for fuel. So almost everybody that has a thyroid problem takes a levothyroxine, Synthroid, Armothroid. It's like pouring gas onto a smoldering fire, igniting it, and going, well, now my labs look good. But you have just made a bigger issue in your body. So your thyroid is connected to every single system in you. Most people that have thyroid problems will also start to get osteopenia and osteoporosis. It's almost hand-in-hand connection. When I work with someone with osteoporosis, my first thought is, what's your thyroid doing? Does that make sense? When I work with someone that has an immune system disorder or has a nerve system disorder, Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive decline, I start thinking, what's wrong with your thyroid? You're going to find out today, I see an issue with your health. My first question is, what's going on with your thyroid? Guys, it's so bad. It's an epidemic today. You have a 90% chance right now something's wrong with your thyroid, especially if you have another health issue going on. If you're a diabetic, I promise you the reason you're diabetic and why eating nothing still doesn't bring your sugars down is your thyroid. Your thyroid is off. 90% chance. If you have an autoimmune condition like I did, I had sarcoidosis, it was because my thyroid was messed up. I was attacking a protein that I'll show you since I was a teenager, a young kid. It was destroying an enzyme, and that's why my thyroid wasn't working. And so what you're going to learn today is everything with your health. If you talk health, it's thyroid. It is the master hormone, the master system. Who has ever done this, brushed through their hair, and then said, oh, God, right? Another sign of it that I'm starting to have a lot of women tell me is they'll just wipe their hand over the drain plug, right, the area, and it's like you pull this massive amount of hair out of it. Has anybody ever noticed that? Okay? If your hair is falling out, it's because that stimulation from the inappropriate version of the hormone, T4 doing the wrong thing, makes your hair fall out. T4 doing the right thing makes your hair come back and grow in. T4 doing the wrong thing makes every joint in your body hurt specifically right when you wake up in the morning. Has anybody experienced this? Like you wake up and it's like you feel like you're 100, but by about noon you're like, oh, I'm pretty good. Anybody? That's thyroid. That's thyroid right there. That you should go, I have a thyroid problem. And if you wake up with a headache in the morning that goes away throughout the day, it's a thyroid problem. Anybody? Headaches when I wake up. This is common. Like everybody I work with. Again, 2 to 4 o'clock, right? But then 5, 6, 7 o'clock, like difficulty falling asleep. There is this concept about because it regulates your hormones. Today, we believe most people are depressed, not because of genetic issues or anything else, but because your thyroid regulates all of your hormones in your brain. Serotonin, write this down. Serotonin, S-E-R-I-T-O-N-I-N. Serotonin is a feel-good hormone. Who wants to feel good right now, just out of curiosity? Oh my God, all of you're writing though, right? Raise your other hand. Serotonin is your feel-good hormone. If you want to feel good, you need serotonin to be elevated. Have you guys ever heard of an SSRI? It's a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. The drug is designed to push more serotonin into your brain so you feel good. That's what antidepressants do. The challenge is that it doesn't come from the brain. It comes from the gut, and if you have the inappropriate style of T4, you shut the serotonin down. You shut it off. So you start going like, oh, I don't feel like I feel. As soon as you tell a doctor, I don't feel like I felt, what do they start thinking? Yeah, I'll give you something to make you feel good. And I hate to say it, but antidepressants are the #1 highest prescribed medication in the United States today. You won't find it listed on the internet. If you say #1 prescribed drug, Crestor, Thyroid, etc. It is the #1 fastest growing because most of us know deep down we should feel better. We should be more energetic and alive and vibrant, and we're not. We can't figure out why. It also does this, and there's a classic pattern for thyroid. You guys probably have maybe experienced this. Thyroid puts weight just below the second abdominal muscle. So you have one here, one here, one here, right? Six-pack, yes? Some of us wish we could see it. It's in there, I promise you. It's there. It's just covered up, okay? Thyroid weight loss or thyroid weight restrictions are from that last abdominal down, belly button zone. So you'll have a lot of fat right around here, but up above will be pretty good and below will be pretty good. Does that make sense? The reason for that is when that T4 hormone is doing the wrong thing, it tells your brain, do this. Do not burn that fat for fuel. Store it because we are stressed out. We need that for later use, so guess what? It piles up. How many of you, anybody? Like out of curiosity, right? I had somebody the other day, they're like, if I could just take like a straw and suck it out. But that's what medicine does, right? Now, has anybody ever know somebody who's done that? I'm working with a patient right now. She's had it done 3 times. And I said, what happened after the first one? She goes, well, it came right back. So they did it again, and then it came right back. And I'm like, don't you think that's a sign that sucking it out is not the problem? But again, what do we want? We want instant fix. I want it right now, like right now. Now, you can have it if you know what to do. Brain fog. Here's the thing with brain fog. Brain fog is something that's becoming so common today that a lot of us just think it's normal because we are doing what? Well, not just that we're getting older, right? We are living a life of, this is more going on. I've got this happening over there, that happening over there. And what we do is we think our brains shouldn't have the capacity to be able to remember 8,000 things at once. You should. You should. You should be sharp and active and ready to go. If it's foggy upstairs, it's because you're not secreting the hormones up to the brain because the thyroid is blocking that. And then for women, anybody ever experienced this? Right? Again, now, what would be the classic thing a medical doctor would say is causing this? Well, hormones, but then menopause, right? But isn't it weird that they say, okay, here, I got it, ready? The cause of your problem is menopause. And then you should ask the next question, why am I going through menopause? Now, what will they say for you ladies? Well, you're that old, okay? Did you know this? That a female should never know that they are in or went through menopause. You should never even know what happened to you. You should transition right through it as if you were going, what? What just happened? You went through menopause. The reason for that is what gland in your body has the ability to secrete female hormones, so estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, etc., outside of your ovaries, which do slow over time. Does anybody know? Your thyroid and your adrenal gland. So watch, if your thyroid is working and your adrenal gland is working, as the ovaries slow down, what do? They pick up the slack. You would never even know it was there. So if you're in the throes of it and we reverse that, guess what? It disappears completely. Completely.
Dr. Ernst,
Yes.
I was told that hot flashes never go away. You have the rest of your life.
But here's the thing, right? Do you guys hear that? She said, I was told hot flashes never go away. You'll have them the rest of your life. Who told you that?
I read it or it was on television or something.
Okay.
advertised.
So, well, let's look at it that way. So advertising, listen, first of all, like if it's on TV, don't ever believe anything on TV. Second of all, even if our medical doctor said that, are they true? They are in their world, though. Do you guys understand that? There's nothing medicine can do to reverse a hot flash situation. They're going to say, ride that wave, fan yourself down, put ice around your body, just let it run its course, and it will fade with time, but it's not supposed to happen. Not supposed to happen. This is classic thyroid, guys. So it happens a lot, right? Where it's like everybody else is going, man, it's like 1,000,000 degrees in here. You're like, it's freezing. It's freezing. And yes, I know this room is a little chilly. We turned it down because there's a lot of you, but that is thyroid. Now, if you can't sleep and you tend to wake up specifically around 3 in the morning, It's thyroid. I'm going to show this out of curiosity. I'm wondering, I'm going to say this and see if it lands with you guys. Are you aware that you have a cyclical nature to your energy on a 24-hour cycle? It runs through various organs in your body. I just want to see a show of hands. Who knows that you have an organ clock? I'd like to see who knows of this. Okay? You have an actual clock that says, for example, at between midnight and 1 a.m. in the morning, your gallbladder is at its highest functional capacity. It is working and churning and doing stuff for you. As you get to be between 2 and 3 o'clock, your liver churning and cranking. Now, if you wake up, watch this, if you wake up at a specific time, all the time throughout the night, that tells you where you have your organ issue. Does that make sense? And because your liver converts almost all of your thyroid hormones, you will find most thyroid people wake up between 2 and 3 in the morning as if it's just like this. What time is it? 2:22. Does it ever happen to anybody? And then the next day, what time is it? It's 2:22. Like a show of hands, anybody? Has anyone experienced this? Thyroid. Thyroid. Now, the challenge is this. You will find, if you dig deep enough, that I could correlate anything going on in your body to your thyroid. So does that mean your thyroid is the cause of all issues inside of your body? It's connected. It may not be that your thyroid is what's causing it, but they are connected into it. Does that make sense? So if I look at it and I say weakness, cough, muscle cramps, decreased libido, metabolic syndrome, which is elevated blood sugars, cholesterol, triglycerides. If you have elevations of numbers on your blood work, you have metabolic syndrome. It is a big why having a thyroid issue. It affects everything inside of your body. So even if you're here today going, I don't have a thyroid problem, I have right hip pain or low back pain, it could be your thyroid. Does that make sense? So just understand, I know that today is a thyroid theme, but I don't want you to get lost in the trap of the idea that may not be my thyroid. There might be something else going on. But deep down inside, what is it? It's your thyroid. Take a deep breath. We're going to be okay. I even have a thyroid problem, and I'm still working on it. Ready? This is what is often seen when you go with those symptoms to a doctor. Yes? Listen, look at me for a second. Okay? Doc, I'm tired all the time. My hair's falling out. I can't seem to lose weight. I'm cold when everybody else is hot. I'm hot when everybody else is cold. My hands are shaking. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. Please help. What do they do?
Give you like a drug.
Well, they went like this. Hold on, that was too fast. They're like, let me write those symptoms down again. Right? They write every symptom down, and every symptom correlates to a potential cause. Now, a good doctor would listen to you and go, you know what? That sounds like your thyroid. Today, though, what do? Who's done this, right? You go and you talk to your doctor, and they go, you know what? I don't know what's wrong, but let's run a test, and we'll see what's wrong. Now, watch. Everybody look at me. If that test comes back abnormal, what's the solution? A medication for whatever came back abnormal, right? If my thyroid's good but my cholesterol's off, they'll go, you know what? It's your cholesterol. Here's a cholesterol-lowering drug, okay? Symptom-based treatments. It's like if your check engine light's going off, let's cut that light off so you can't see it, and then you're good to go. But that's not the way your body works. Now watch. What happens if it comes back normal? So my thyroid's normal, everything's normal. They're like, we don't know. But watch. Do you go usually to a specialist first? No, you go to your GP, yes? So your GP will say this, hey, listen, I know a guy. They all know guys, right? I know a guy or a girl who's really good with thyroid. He's an endocrine specialist. He's a hormone specialist. You're going to have to pay more, though. So you okay with this? Like, your copay is not acceptable there. It's a deductible. You're going to have to pay the fee. We'll go because it's our health. And they'll run special tests. And they often recommend special drugs. But yet they're still doing the same exact thing. Does that make sense? If you want an answer, all you have to do is ask this. Why? Why is my test normal, but I have a problem? Why is my test abnormal, but yet I'm taking medication for it? It's that simple. So this is what everybody's given. Can I talk about another symbol and its symbolic meaning? Are you guys okay with this? Who knows what RX stands for symbolically? Does anybody know? Well, we say it's a prescription, yes? But here's the thing. An RX, when it has the X through the R, it means to be open to receiving. It's an openness to receipt. There is an Egyptian symbol of an eye that has like a little tear coming off of it, and a lot of people get tattoos of this thing. It basically means you are under a spell, if you will. You're under an incantation to receive. So back in Egyptian days and Greek days, you would be given this spell symbol to say, someone cast a spell over you because we believe you're possessed, and that's why you're unhealthy. So an RX is a written, receiving nature. They want you to receive this so that it will go into your body. So it's a symbol for receiving. Does that make sense? So I look at it as, we got to go back to symbolism again. I write this prescription, and I want you to receive this drug, which comes from the god of Hermes, to change your body, the alchemy, the potions, etc. Who makes money by doing this? You or them? They do. And then now secretly, is this increasing the effectiveness of your ability to heal or not? So your soul is now in darkness. It's in a level of, I'll call it deficit. Okay? So drugs for thyroid do this. They push this T4 hormone at you. So let me see if I can describe it like this. I'm going to go deep into this, but I want you to understand. T4, when we talk about thyroid, is basically a thyroglobulin protein with 4 iodines. Okay? The reason they call it T4 is it's a protein with 4 iodines on it. It is made inside your thyroid by taking 2 components, something called thyroglobulin, which is a protein molecule made by your DNA, and iodine, and merging them together. And there's an enzyme called thyroid peroxidase. Very important that you understand this. There is an enzyme that takes iodine and that protein and pushes them together. So let me ask you a question. If the enzyme does not work, what can you not create? T4. That makes sense, doesn't it? So could your T4 levels be low because this enzyme is not working? Yes or yes? Now, who has a thyroid challenge right now that has had their TPO enzymes checked for functionality and if everything's working? That's because we did it for you, right? Do you see how this could be a massive problem? It could be as easy as you can't make it, okay? Second, if I push this, if you can't make it and I push this into you, are you guys aware this is an inactive? T4 does nothing. It must be converted into something called T3, which is the active hormone. Now, what's the difference between 4 and 3? It's been taken off. Now, if an enzyme puts it on, guess what there is? Another enzyme that takes it off. So if I have T4 and I want to go to T3, there's something called deiodinase. It stands for taking iodine off. Deiodinase. Does that make sense? Who has had their deiodinase checked? Now watch. If you have too much T4, you can't convert it because you're not diminishing it. That would be called hyperthyroid. Make sense? This one would be called hypothyroid. Are you guys seeing the picture here? It is not the inability for you to necessarily have it. It's just maybe there's an enzyme that's deficient. Maybe something's not working. So look, if this is blocked and I can't turn it into this and I pump more of this in, I put lots and lots of T4 into you, which is what doctors do, yes? You can't convert it, so where does the excess go? It turns into something in your liver called reverse T3. And this hormone is a nasty hormone. It makes you tired, fatigued, brain fog, forgetfulness, gain weight, cold all the time. You guys understand this? Now, who's had reverse T3 checked? See the problem? What do they test? Give me the hormones they check for thyroid. TSH and T4. Now, look, TSH is a hormone secreted by your pituitary gland to make your thyroid make the T4. So I can understand why they would want to test that. Because if my T4 is or TSH is low, then I would assume that you're not making the process. But is that necessarily what's causing the problem? What if TSH is normal, but T4 is low? That tells me your enzyme is deficient. What if TSH is low, but T4 is normal? That tells me your brain has a challenge secreting the enzyme in the first place because there's another releasing hormone that I guarantee you they're not checking called TRH. I'm here to tell you this. Your thyroid is massively complicated. It is not just TSH and T4. So the problem becomes this. If that is low, they don't understand that it's possibly low because it's being pulled to this side. It's like a waterfall. Does that make sense? T4 has to turn into T3. If it's piling up because it can't be converted, then it goes to something called reverse T3. Now look. If I'm taking Synthroid and I can't convert it into the good, active, fat-burning, feel-good, lose-weight hormone, your body will turn it into this, called reverse T3. That makes you gain weight, your hair fall out, and everything else. And that conversion takes place in your liver. Now here's where it gets even crazier. Most of our livers are toxic, congested, and stressed out. And so the more stressed your liver is, the more you push it this way. So the most dangerous thing about taking this is you may be making the condition worse. But what will your blood work say? Normal, because you're taking it. And your doctor will go, hallelujah, it's amazing. You've done it. And you go, but I'm gaining 10 pounds. And they're like, well, start changing your diet. Go exercise more. Do you guys see the problem? It's a massive problem. Now look, there is an active version. If it's working properly, you secrete these hormones. It goes to T4. T4 goes to your liver. Your liver says, make the active. This is the one you guys want. You want that because it makes you literally burn fat while you sleep. You could weigh 200 pounds. If active T3 is working, you would wake up 199 pounds. You can lose about a pound a day if T4 or T3 is working actively. It is converted in the liver, not in the thyroid. So notice, if I only look at the top, the gold standard is check TSH, check T4. If it's good and it's good, then you have no thyroid problem. That is not true because you may be converting it inappropriate. Your enzymes may not be working. So if you want to break your thyroid habits, if you want to get yourself healthy again, you need to start checking the downstream effects. Who has gone to their doctor and asked them to run a more functional thyroid panel? Anybody? What do they say when you ask them this, typically? Why won't they do it, though? One is your insurance won't cover it. There's no diagnosis. I can't, right? Because it came back normal.
There's no way, they don't know the way to treat it.
Bingo! You got it? What drug could I give you to get your reverse T3 down? Doesn't exist. So why would I test for something if I can't give you a drug? I wouldn't. Now here's the fallacy in it. They then say, there's nothing I can do. I'm going to let the crickets crick for a second so you can get the effect. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Yes, ma'am. So, well, there's free and bound. Now, you're going a little deep, which is okay. I'm okay with that. Free T3 and bound T3 is the hormone after. Oh, God, that's a mess. Okay. The hormone after it's converted, see it right here? The active hormone will have to be converted all the way down into the intestines. You have it either in your blood, freely exposed, ready to land on the cell, or that hormone's bound to a protein being carried somewhere. So let me ask you a question. Do you want your hormones bound to proteins, or do you want them free to land on receptor cells and activate? You want, just like you want to be free, you want your hormones free. Here's the reason. Once you go from TSH to T4, secreted to T3 active, that's what should happen, not this way to reverse T3, bad hormone, you don't want it. Your cells have antennas that act like receptors. Now, this is crucial to understand. Your cell has DNA. It has these things called mitochondria. Am I going too deep? Okay, mitochondria make ATP, which is energy. You guys love energy, yes? You want it. You want more of it. You bottle it up and you try to drink it. It's not where it comes from. It comes from there. Now, if this hormone, T3 active, is free and it lands right here, this cell goes, woo! It burns fat, it builds energy, and it gives you a sense of zest for your life. Does that make sense? If that is a gut cell, it'll secrete serotonin, and you will go like this. I feel good today. Does that make sense? Now watch. If this is not going that way, and you're piling this up, you're going like this because you're taking your T4 because your doctor said to. Now it lands here, and guess what it does? It goes, don't make energy. Store all that fat. In fact, we're not going to let go. It sticks to it. It's so nasty. It glues itself in place, and it constantly binds it. So even if you had T3 free, it's stuck. Does that make sense? Now here's what's even crazier. Did you know there are other things that can land in here, like mercury, lead, tin, arsenic, etc., and block the receptor? So sometimes what happens is all your hormones are working perfectly, but you're toxic, so it doesn't land. So what happens is they test this and go, you're fine. You're in the normal reference range, you're good. Whose test is this? It's mine. You're good. But then you go to a specialist and they do all the free and the bound or the reverse, etc. See my reverse T3? This is within the normal limits for me. Fine. But you go to a functional doctor who runs all of them and says, okay, that enzyme, good. Your globulin, though, bad. My globulin is bad. What it means is this. When I take that globulin protein and I'm trying to attach the iodines to it, my body is killing that because of an autoimmune condition. Remember I said, whoa, look at that. Remember I said I had an autoimmune condition when I was younger? If you have one autoimmune condition, you have more, guaranteed. So my body says, I don't like that thing, and it tries to go after it. I have since fixed this, and I'll show you how I fixed it. But the key is understanding it's way bigger than just TSH and T4. And if you want to get it fixed, you've got to go to somebody who knows the whole picture. I've studied this for years. The picture involves this. The whole pathway must be assessed. If your liver is toxic, you will not be able to convert it properly, and it goes to the reverse side. Does that make sense? The more reverse hormone that builds up, the tireder you are, the more your hair falls out, the more you gain weight, and the more you say, there is something wrong with me. And your doctors will say, we don't see it. So here's the challenge. If I take it, it rarely ever makes me feel better because it's not the solution, but yet it's what everybody's on. And if you have a thyroid issue that you're currently being prescribed, I guarantee you, more than likely, 9 out of 10 chance, it's because you have antibodies, an immune response going after these or going after the gland itself. It's an autoimmune condition. It's called Hashimoto's. Remember somebody said, I've been pre-subclinical Hashimoto's. What Hashimoto's means is you're testing positive for antibodies against the enzymes that make the hormone and against the globulin protein. I am pre-Hashimoto's. Does that make sense? So the best way to fix it is to understand antibodies are because of a stimulated hyperimmune response. Your nerve system and your immune system is designed to attack stuff. Now listen, I get a sense I'm blowing you guys out of the water. Are we okay? Okay? Take a deep breath and help me with this. If this is a virus and I inhale this virus, a healthy body would do what? Recognize it, build an antibody, meaning it has to say, hey, listen, this thing's not supposed to be here. So it kind of breaks it into pieces. It builds antibodies. The antibodies charge your immune cells to say, if you see this anywhere, do what? Kill it. Now watch. If your body has been inappropriately programmed to see your thyroid as a virus, what will it do? Kill the thyroid. That's autoimmune thyroid. 90% of people that I work with that are hypothyroid, taking levothyroxine, Synthroid, Armothroid, when I test them, test positive for being autoimmune thyroid. You cannot fix autoimmune thyroid by taking medication. It will make it worse. It'll actually pour gasoline on the fire because you're adding thyroid hormones to your system synthetically, and your body goes, those are bad too, go kill them. And you end up destroying everything. Now, if you destroy the thyroid cell itself, you will become hypothyroid autoimmune. Does that make sense? But if instead you secrete this nasty thing called TSI, thyroid stimulating, you can actually make the thyroid work even harder, even though it's not a hormone. It's an antibody that looks just like TSH. So who is Graves' disease, right? Graves' disease is an antibody response where the antibody looks like the stimulation hormone. So how do we fix that? We got to get that TSI antibody to come down by understanding where autoimmunity comes from in the first place. But I'm not just looking at you for Graves. I'm looking at if you have a low thyroid, you have too many antibodies against the thyroid. So we have to lower our antibody response. Taking T4 will only make this worse. So here's the secret to it. They used to, in the day, treat people based upon actually talking with you. They would say stuff like this. Well, how long have you been feeling this way? When did it first start? Okay, oh, I see in your history you've had X, Y, Z. Do we do that anymore today? No. There's too many people that are sick, which also is an indication our healthcare system's falling apart, and we don't have time for it. So we just go straight to blood work. And they treat paper, not you. It is the challenge I have with medicine today. They care more about your labs work looking better than they do you, because they'll go like this. Your labs are good, you must be good now. I'm still falling apart, I don't know what to do with you anymore. So what we want to do is this. There are never, ever been a study published that said TSH and T4 are correlated to thyroid function. Never. There's not a single study that says if TSH is low or T4 is high or low, that it is the cause and effect. There's not a single medical study for it. So why do we still use it today? Because it makes sense to you. Well, your T4 is low, you need to take T4. That's it. All medical tests today are designed to give medications. How many of you have had your blood work done and your cholesterol has been like 221 and they freak out at you like you're going to have a heart attack? The only reason for that is 50 years ago, they would have said what? You're fine. Why did it change from 285 to 255 to 225, now to 200? Why did they change the blood test? Because we saturated the market. We saturated the market. I've given every prescription I can because we said the capacity is 225. Let's lower it because guess what? We opened 10% more population. I kid you not. They changed the numbers to write more drugs because the god of Hermes says we need to make money and we need to make more drugs and we need more people going where? Down to hell. I hate to say it. Okay? The truth is the conversion takes place in your liver. So what most of you are not addressing is the fact your liver is congested and clogged. Listen, here's a quick test. You guys can do it right now to find out if your liver's congested. Will everybody do this? 2 fingers like that, real quick. Lean your head to the side. Go like this. Do you feel a pulse? You have a 100% chance there's congestion in your liver to some degree. Guaranteed. The reason for that is we are loaded with toxins, we are filled with stuff, and our liver is our master filter. If your liver's congested, nothing works. It is a connection between the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, your liver, and your gut that creates a thyroid problem. Do you remember in the beginning I said those 3 legs are your gut, your chemical stressors, and your nerve system? That's the fix. You want to break out of thyroid problems? Get your gut working, get your stuff cleaned out, reduce your stresses, fix your nerve system, which I'll show you in a moment, and your thyroid, I promise you, will go. And why will the thyroid do that? Because it's converting now properly. I've had people lose 10, 15, 20 pounds in like days, literally days, by doing what we're going to teach you guys. If you're taking it, again, 90% chance, according to the research, you have an autoimmune style. The only way, though, is to get the right test. It's the only way. So, when we look at our thyroid, we often say that gland is the problem. The doctors will blame it. Something's wrong with your thyroid. I'm here to tell you, you actually have a high likelihood there's nothing wrong with the gland. There's something wrong with the conversion process. More than likely, your thyroid is doing exactly what it's supposed to at the time it's doing it because the signal is being sent to do what you're currently doing. If you're attacking the enzymes, of course you're not going to be able to make it. If you're attacking the conversion process, you can't produce it. There's nothing wrong with your thyroid. It's doing what it's supposed to. We have to just simply turn this process around. And we do that by understanding the cell itself. So inside your thyroid, the DNA makes this thing called thyroglobulin. And again, there's an enzyme that attaches the iodine to make T4. So in essence, in your blood, you have iodine because we eat it, we consume it, and everything else. Could low iodine cause a thyroid problem? Yes. Okay, so we have to look at it nutritionally. If I have enough iodine, but I'm not making, see, my problem is this. See the thyroglobulin? So my body goes, kill that thing right there, just destroy it. Why? Because I have a gut issue. Maybe it's the conversion process. So if you test positive for thyroglobulin antibodies, that tells me you're attacking that, which is why you have a thyroid problem. Does that make sense? If you test positive for thyroid peroxidase enzymes, that tells me right there that enzyme that adds the iodine is being attacked. Now, where does all this attack come from? It comes from having an inappropriate relationship in those 3 legs. Does that make sense? So, what creates a challenge is antibodies are produced when in our gut we have stool, viruses, bacteria, toxins, etc. Your gut is designed to be this lining like a filter, okay? So your blood is over here, and here we have what I'll call antibodies. They are waiting to be charged. They're just sitting there going, I'm looking for something. I'm looking to tell the body that that's abnormal. What we now know is this. You can have an issue in your intestines where there is damage to the intestine wall that allows toxins to scoot across or stool to scoot across, as gross as that sounds. Viruses and bacteria and things start getting in here, And those antibodies go and they say, get rid of it. Now, I want to ask you a question. How would thyroid tissue end up in your digestive system and end up in your blood? Where would it be coming from? How would thyroid tissue get inside of my digestive system? Somehow you're eating thyroid tissue. So I'll ask you a question. Where is thyroid tissue found in our food today? Yes, in meat products, chicken, fish, etc., because all living animals have thyroids, don't they? Now you might say, well, I'm not eating thyroid glands and tissues, but the food industry is very famous for adding all kinds of stuff to our food. And what we're finding today is they're taking a lot of like the bones and the carcasses and the joints and the tissues, all the stuff you guys don't buy, and they blend that stuff up into this paste. Anybody heard of this? They blend it up into a paste that's called pink slime because it's pink. And then what they do is they add that to our food products today. And so you might be eating animal tissues without even knowing that you're eating it. They're finding this stuff in everything. If you have thyroid tissues that you're consuming and you have a leaky gut and it gets across, that's where it comes from. Now, I was raised in an era where we ate anything and everything that was, hey, kids eat free Thursday night, right? I'm a family, I have 3 siblings, kids eat free Thursday night. McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, etc. This was common foods for me. Chicken nuggets from Tyson that were basically boneless, ground up and everything else, French fries, etc. All that stuff is loaded with this and it charges our immune system. And so what happens is we start to get all of these conditions. You could have osteoporosis because of the fact that there's damage to the intestines. Does that make sense to you guys? It's almost as if the only way to protect yourself is 1, to have knowledge, and B, to understand it's in your control. You can fix this. Yes? Yes, yeah. So the challenge is why everybody's pushing so hard to go vegan and vegetarian. There's truth behind this, but the problem is it's just no, you need to eat real food, okay? I don't know about you, but I don't believe food is designed to be hormone-induced or vaccine-pushed or corn-fed or anything to that degree, nor do I believe that we should be eating processed foods or meats or things like that. Last time I checked, pigs don't look like squares with little pieces of olives inside of them. You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay, turkey is not this nice centered tube. It doesn't come out like a nice cylinder that they slice in a circle because it fits conveniently on your sandwich. That's processed, meaning there's potentially tissue inside of it. And even though you might be eating a piece of cold lunch meat, there could be thyroid tissue inside of that. You have no idea of knowing. So when we look at your health, we have to understand if there's a gut issue, there's a health issue. And here's what happens with the gut. There are little tiny connections. I want you to think of these as like anchors. They hold the cells together. If cells are close together, nothing can go through. It's like a filter. This is the way God created your body to be. You want to filter out things that are toxic, but yet pull nutrients across the membranes. We now know today that there is one specific food that you consume, that probably you guys are eating, that makes those tight junctions weak and the cells split apart. Does anybody know what food that is? Sugar I heard, gluten I heard. It is anything that has gluten inside of it, not just wheat, but a gluten component. We know for a fact that gluten has the ability to break those connections. Now, I had a patient once, she goes like this, I don't have celiac disease, I can eat wheat and I have no problems. That doesn't mean you are not sensitive to gluten. They estimate that today, 9 out of 10 Americans are sensitive to the gluten protein in your body. You don't know the sensitivity because you don't know how to look for it. Sensitivity to food often looks like your nose starts running while you're eating, like a... Has anybody ever experienced that? Okay? Sensitivity to foods mean I got a headache randomly, or like I'm bloating, or when my wife eats wheat, it looks like she's pregnant. Literally, just straight out. Now, if you're eating gluten, it doesn't just mean wheat. And here's the risk. There is a rice version of gluten. There is a corn version of gluten. There is an oat version of gluten. Gluten is an essential protein on the grain seed that helps it to germinate and grow into a new leaf. So if your body is unable to digest this, then it starts to create these cracks, and what happens is we activate autoimmunity. Does that make sense, everyone? Now, when I said let's check to see if our livers are congested, that same test is to check to see if your gut is inflamed and irritated. Almost all of us have gut problems. What happens is they're actually studying right now, back as 2003, that the gluten fragments they're claiming act as if they are viruses. They are perceived by your body as foreign objects, and they land on the receptor of a cell, and they make cells spread apart. Now, I also like to think, because I get asked a lot of questions, how come in the Bible they talked about the disciples going around and reaching out and grabbing wheat berries and throwing them into the air and chewing on these things and stuff like that? How come they didn't have leaky gut? The bread of the biblical days was not what? Today. Genetically modified, sprayed with Monsanto, Roundup, everything else, nor was it hybridized or changed into what we have it today. The bread and the grains of today did not exist 2,000 years ago. In fact, they didn't exist 100 years ago. In fact, it didn't even exist 50 years ago. We are altering it and causing sickness. The reason it's such an epidemic today is because you guys think that whole grain muffin is healthy for you. It is not. It's the worst thing you could ever do. When you inflame your gut, you can't absorb nutrients because you break the barriers, and then you start to build an autoimmune response, and then you start to have issues like food allergies, sensitivities, things to this effect. I used to be able to eat this, but now I can't. I eat this, and now I bloat up. What's going on? I must be getting older. No, you're getting sicker from within. You can fix this by understanding its source. The cause is the cure. Medications are known to irritate your intestines. So if you want to get healthy, you need to stop taking your medications. But that's a tough order, isn't it? I was working last week with this woman. She came to my clinic. She goes, Dr. Ernst, I want to get off my medications. I was like, it's easy. Who's holding a gun to your head making you swallow those every day? It's so easy. Guys, and I know, trust me, right? A 97%er, let's do this exercise. 97%er, the mentality when I say stop taking all of them right now will tell me what? I can't. And so I looked her in the face and I said, who is making you take these? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, you're making yourself take them. What happens if you stop taking them? And she goes, I would die. Okay, who told you that? You know what? She goes, nobody did. She goes, I just, isn't that what's going to happen? No. If you stop taking them, you're actually going to get healthy and you're going to start living. Now, do some of you need help to just stop taking your medications? Okay, I'm not here. Listen, we're on Facebook Live, everything. I'm not telling all these people to stop taking their medications right now. I'm telling you, figure out the cause, and you can stop them instantly. Just like that. Done. Whatever you're taking, I guarantee you, you're taking it because of a symptom related to some other deeper cause. Your gut is intimately connected. We have an exam test in my office. I had a patient come through one of my events. They decided to come in and get some testing done. I run this composition scan because what I'm looking for is how much do you weigh? How much fat do you have on your body? So this person had 78 pounds of fat on their body. And when you look at it, see how it says leg, leg, arm, trunk? What is your trunk? Where's your trunk? Right here, okay? This person had 38 pounds of the 78 pounds in their abdomen. I know it's a Saturday, it's early in the morning. That is more than half. Would you agree? Okay, now listen, the golden rule. If half of your entire body's fat here, what do you have? Well, you have a leaky gut, and that's what's causing your thyroid. Does that make sense? You have a leaky gut, and that's creating the autoimmunity that is creating your thyroid to fall apart. Because we want to fix our thyroid, don't we? So the way you fix your thyroid is you leave your thyroid alone. It's not your thyroid. It's your gut and your liver. Does this make sense? Have I lost you guys? So we have to fix the gut. One way of knowing, do I have a gut issue, is more than half of your entire body fat in your abdomen. Why would the body throw all that fat into the abdomen? Does anybody know? It's trying to protect that. Watch, look. If stool and bacteria and viruses are making it through that hole, do you think your body goes, man, we got to close that thing. We got to shut her down. So what does it do? Guess where it puts the fat? Right here. But then you still eat wheat, and you still eat corn and rice, so then another hole shows up. And so what does the body do? Puts more fat. And you still keep eating, and so what happens? Before you know it, that whole thing is filled with fat. And this, we go, oh, I'm getting older. I drink too much beer. Beer is made out of wheat. It is too much beer. You guys understand? It is bread. There's a book called Grain Brain and Wheat Belly. Have you guys seen this? Very popular today. They're saying that your bagels, your muffins, your donuts, and all that wheat is what's causing this to expand, not because of the wheat doing it, but because it activates that response. If you want to get fat out of here, all you need to do is fix the gut. I'm going to ask you guys a quick question. What's the best way to fix a gut? Stop eating. Now, is that a challenge? Is it everywhere? Literally everywhere. I've even seen some like salad dressing say contains wheat. I'm like, what the heck? Salad dressing, of all things. Now look, I can measure these things, monitor them, take somebody through some neurological evaluations, which I'll teach you in a second. Very important for you to understand. Where is your thyroid, real quick? Where is it? Okay. So if I'm going to wonder what part of my body's controlling this, I would say your neck has a neurological connection to your thyroid. I mean, does that make sense? Yes? Just like my hands are not controlled by my low back nerves. That would be weird, wouldn't it? My hands are controlled by the nerves from my neck. My legs are controlled by the nerves from my low back. My thyroid sits here, so the nerves in your neck control your thyroid. Now, this woman came to this event. I do this event every year, and she comes up to me. She's like, I want help. I want to get fixed. I'm sick and tired of being this way. We found out she had a leaky gut. We found out all the nerves in her neck were blocked. I'll explain this a little more in a minute. All the nerves in her neck are blocked. She comes to my office and says, listen, I want today to be my day. I want it to be my day. She goes, I'm taking a picture today with you so I can share to the world the difference in my life. And I took a picture with her back in 2016 when I did this last year. And I just got this photo not that long ago. That is her husband, obviously. Not me. I don't know how to do that. And I'm telling you guys, massive change. This also rings true to me personally because this is the mom of my office manager, Shaquana, who lives in Asheville. Now, how many of you drove more than 2 hours to come to Charlotte to listen to a talk? Anybody? Asheville. She's a 3%er. Do you get it? She's like, I need to come see you. Sat in that seat, stayed here, stayed with her for weeks. Came over next door. We started working together. Boom, instant change. Completely off all of her meds. Completely. And I've done this with countless numbers of people. The question is, do you have a problem with your gut? More than likely, yes. Have you ever been tested for it? Has anybody ever taken a look to see how leaky that intestine is and taken you through a rebuild program to get it to grow back again? And that is a diet shift. But you can start it today by doing one thing. Don't ever eat. Now, I know what you're saying, though. Wait a second. An upper GI scope? Because that can only go down to your stomach. Where is this taking place? In the intestine. Now, here's the good question. Thank you for making me think of this. Can I get a colonoscopy and have them see a leak between two cells? Why not? Microscopic. Now, could they see a massive ulcerative hole with oozing liquid coming out of it called IBS or IBD or Crohn's or things like that? Could they see that visibly? Yes. What would they say the solution to that is? Anti-inflammatories. We'll pull your immune system down. We'll give you drugs. We'll cut it out. We'll watch it. We'll monitor it. What caused that? Years and years and years of a leak. Does that make sense to you guys? If you can see it with the naked eye, it's been there for years. This is the challenge with MRIs. All of a sudden, somebody's like, I got my MRI scan, my whole body. They scan my whole body. In me, I'm good. Next year, cancer all over the place. Why? Because you can't see disease. You have to detect it by looking for markers of it. We can find it before it happens. So all you need to understand is if you have a gut, remember that one leg? If your gut is not working, it affects every avenue of your health. And usually what we see first is thyroid falls down. Then the gut slows down because obviously it's leaking. It's piling with fat. It's not going to contract as well. How many of you know how often it should go? How often should we do that? It's a trick question. It's based upon how many times you eat. So if I have 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you should defecate how many times? 3. If you're not defecating to the degree of the meals you consume, there's a problem with your gut. I guarantee you. Next, then our adrenal glands start to get fatigued. Our kidneys get stressed out. And why would a woman then say, man, I feel menopausal? Because those two guys are supposed to secrete estrogen, progesterone, and everything else. Then our joints ache. Then our sinuses get clogged. Then our brain starts shutting down. It is a vicious cycle because then the brain can't control the thyroid. Do you guys see that? Someone had a question. Rice is a grain that has its own version. So there's rice gluten and wheat gluten. The key is you got to find out, are you sensitive to either them both or just one or the other. So if I do not have gluten sensitivity but I have rice sensitivity, that will be activated by rice. If I don't have rice sensitivity but I have corn sensitivity, that will be activated by corn. They all have gluten because gluten is in every seed. It's in every grain. It's a natural component inside of them.
Does your test say which one you have?
We can test for it and find out what sensitivity you have, yes. Most likely, 90% of the time, it's wheat. It is a version of the gluten that comes from bread products, pastas, etc., bagels, everything else. So this is usually, at this point, your brains are already starting to crank because I can see them, right? I guarantee you some of you are thinking, hey, how much did that blood test cost? Who's thought it? I'm curious. Okay? I've had people do this. They ask their doctor to run it, and it ranges, on average, about $700 to $800 just for a functional thyroid test. Just that, just the thyroid alone. If you have Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Aetna, Medicare, etc., they usually don't cover the test because you would have to have a diagnosis in the first place to get it. And if you're diagnosed with thyroid, they're going to go, well, we've already run the blood test. So if you want this panel to be run, you'll have to pay for it out of pocket. They set the price. You guys understand this? Insurance will say how much something costs, and then if you have a deductible, you have to pay the full fee for it. If you have a percentage, you'll pay a percentage of that. It's about $700 to $800 on the average. Can you get your MD to run it? If you went up to them and said, hey, I was at this seminar, I'd like reverse T3, TPO, thyroglobulin, free and unbound. We've already talked about it. They'll usually go like this. Why do you want that done? You know your insurance isn't going to pay for that, right? Right there, you should say, I got to get out of this office. If they let you think that you should follow your insurance's advice, hey, they're not going to pay for this. Why would you want it then? It's red flag. Time to leave. Time to go. You're fired. I'm finding another doctor. Because if you let your insurance dictate what you do and when you do it, think about it. Does your insurance really, truly want you healthy? They want you to pay that monthly fee to them every month, and then guess what? They're not going to give you tests that make you healthy, because if you were healthy, honestly, you wouldn't need them anymore. You wouldn't even need it. And so how long does it take on average to fix a leaky gut and a thyroid? Can I be totally honest with you guys? Are you okay with this? The minimum, are you okay with this? The minimum is about 3 to 4 months of work that you're going to have to do. 3 to 4 months. But it's basically easy. You need to clean out your diet. You need to do some things to get in there and close those holes. Stop eating the foods that damage it, and then we need to go after the gut and let it repair. Listen, if I break my leg, why do they put me in a cast? Some people think it's to put the bones close together and everything else, but the ultimate reason is they want you to stop walking on the leg. They want you to rest. When you get a rotator cuff surgery done, why do they basically force you to hold your arm like this, put you in a sling, bolt it down, strap it to you, and say, if you move that arm, it's not going to heal? Because rest gives healing to the human body. The problem is none of you have given your guts any rest. You're putting food in it all the time. So one thing that we can do is just stop putting the foods that are toxic inside of it. And if your insurance doesn't cover it, how much will that cost? Again, I mentioned the test alone is about $800. I have the ability today, if you guys want to have this test run, to cover between $400 to $500 worth of that test. We will basically cover the cost of some of the testing for you if you'd like to have the test run. And again, if you don't have a thyroid condition, you may still want to get it tested, because I didn't think I had a thyroid problem, and I do. The offer is this. If you're somebody who wants to have this test done, I'm not finished yet, but I want you guys to understand. If you're somebody who wants to have this done, I'm at a point in my career where I've realized most people get bogged up by the idea, does my insurance cover this? It's like the biggest thing, right? They come up to me and they say, Dr. Ernst, this sounds fantastic. I want to get this done, but is my insurance going to pay for this? I can tell you flat out they are not. So what you need to do is figure out a way to make it a little bit more affordable for you. And what I can do is I can cut the cost of the test. I have a relationship with LabCorp. I've run 40,000 labs through them. They love me. My credit card is on file with them. I just go like this. I have 60 people coming this week for a test. They go, sure, king, on my card. I pay for it for you. God has blessed me to the nth degree. I don't have to work a day in my life if I didn't have to. If you want help, I will help you by covering the cost of some of your tests. But like I said in the beginning, whose decision is it if you want to take the next step? Is it mine? No. It's whose? You have to decide. You have to decide. Now, once we discover if you have a leaky gut, I suggest your next step in your total health transformation is start to clean your body out. Listen, are you guys okay if I say to you, that we have chemicals all around us. And most of us are even putting them onto us, into us without even knowing it. Our lotions, our creams, our shampoos, everything is filled with stuff. Golden rule, if you can't pronounce the ingredient or it's not something you would eat, like if it says coconut oil, can you eat coconut oil? Can you eat PEG 2 stearate, blah, 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 blah? So don't put that on your body. You understand? The reason for that is I want you to kind of burn this image into your brain. This is an electron microscopy picture of one cell in your body. And what you'll see is, you guys see this thing right here? That is what's called your cell membrane. It is a protective barrier around all of your cells. The membrane is where the magic happens. That is what holds the receptors for all of your hormones to land on it. So this membrane, when toxic, so if you've been consuming hair, or not consuming, but if you've been using hair products and you've been eating regular conventional foods that are sprayed with Monsanto's Roundup and all this sort of stuff, you get toxins accumulated into the membrane, and the more toxic they are, what happens is the receptors get bogged up in the toxicity. Does that make sense? Swollen. The reason for that is the membranes are made of fat. So toxins travel to fat. Just like your body said, throw fat in the abdomen because we're leaking. Fat is an absorber. It's a protector. It's like a trash can. It can hold stuff. So if I have toxins in my body, these membranes get swollen and inflamed, and what should go in can't, and what should come out can't. And if you can't put nutrition and oxygen and things into the cell, it can't make ATP, it can't express the DNA, and when you choke out a cell, it has one of two options. It can die, which is that good or bad for your body if your cells die? Or it can change into a cell that can adapt and mutate. So this cell might go, you know what, I'm so toxic, I can't have any food, I'm going to become an abnormal cell so I can stay alive, and that's called disease. When you have a cell that is performing a function other than what it normally does, it is a dis-ease cell. It's doing something different. So what happens is the membranes get inflamed, the receptors can't work, so if thyroid hormone is supposed to land right here, but it's inflamed from toxins, it can't do it. So could you have a normal thyroid test, normal T4, normal T3, normal reverse T3, normal everything, no peroxidase problems, but still have a health issue? Yes, because if it can't land, it doesn't work. So there are ways for us to actually assess the level of inflammation within your body. There are tests. We can run markers. Are you guys okay if I say the word C-reactive protein? Has anybody heard of this before? CRP. How about homocysteine? ESR. These are blood tests that you can run that will actually tell us how inflamed are your cell membranes. So my panel is not just a thyroid panel, guys. We check your liver, we check your intestines, we check your kidneys, we check your inflammatory markers, we're looking for precancer markers. We're trying to discover, are your cells healthy or are they not? If your cells are swollen, you could have normal blood work, but you could still have a problem. And so what happens is the things we consume tend to damage this membrane. And the number one most toxic thing on this planet today, you could overeat food. You could overlive in a toxic house. You could be literally surrounded by mold and still be alive. But if you put too many medications inside of you, what happens? Right? If I swallow a whole bottle of blood pressure pills right now, what happens? If I ate 17 cheeseburgers, 55 apples, and 6 avocados, would I die? So you got to be careful. It's about what are you putting inside of you that's causing poison and toxicity. The issue today with most of us is we are letting the metals that have been in our mouth for years affect us. Now, right now, if you're going to go to your dentist today, typically they're like, hey, listen, we're not going to put that silver in anymore. We know how dangerous those are. We've learned for the last 45 years, those are toxic. They only really do the ceramics now unless you say, I don't want to pay the extra price. Okay? Gold has a slightly different issue. Okay? The worst are the silver ones. And I'm going to share something with you that usually makes people kind of like turn on me because of this. If you have a filling in your mouth, in the last 2 molars on the top left or top right, your thyroid will not heal until that thing comes out. It will not. And I'm going to show you why. Ready? Number one, they know for a fact that from birth, listen to this, from birth, they are able to detect chemicals in infant or just recently born kids to the degree that we're finding toxins and carcinogens and heavy metals and things like that from birth. So the challenge is this. If your mom, because we all came from a mom, if your mom had fillings in her mouth when you were pregnant, when she was pregnant with you, guaranteed you have metals inside of your blood. They know this for a fact. Number two, if you then put them inside of you, where are they? I'm going too fast. I'll come back to these in a second. Here it is. If you have one of these in your teeth, the metal, the silver part of it, the silver filling, is not actually silver, it's technically mercury, has a degree of an ability to crack the tooth. So the longer the tooth has the filling inside of it, the weaker the tooth gets. And some of you have probably had a filling fall out, right? And they go and they usually put another one in. If you get another silver one put in, it's going to keep expanding. And then they're like, all right, fine, the tooth is dying, we'll have to do a root canal. But then you know what they do is they jam the metal down into the root. So even a root canal is pushing mercury down into your tooth. If you have a silver filling, they did studies finding out that the number of fillings in your mouth correlate to the amount of metal in your blood, which correlates to the amount of disease inside of your body. And again, just like you have organ charts, the dental upper third molar. Ready? Open your mouth. Most of you probably had a wisdom taken out, yes? That's molar 1. So molar 2 is the back one, and molar 3 is the one in front of that. That tooth has a filling, guaranteed. Your thyroid's not going to get better until the filling comes out. Guaranteed. Now watch. It's also, unfortunately, on the left side as well. So left, this one, right, this one, thyroid. Sometimes what I do is I have people come in my office and I'm like, hey, open your mouth real quick. Now, just imagine, right? I am a chiropractor, functional medicine doctor, and a physical therapist. And I'm like, hey, listen, can you just do me a quick favor? Open your mouth, stick your tongue out, look straight up. And I go like this. We got a lot of work to do. But do you see why I do this, guys? There's a whole picture behind this. And often what you guys will do is you'll say, man, I've done everything. I tried it all. I tried detoxing. I went to this doctor. I went to like the holistic guys. They gave me herbs. Right? Right? I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And sometimes what we find out is, well, it's just the filling. Now just imagine this, right? That alone is worth everything. But here's the challenge. 97%ers are going to start thinking about this. Ready? I say to you, you got to go get that thing out. And because it's so dangerous, there's only 3 dentists in all of the Charlotte area that know how to do it properly, because if you go to a regular dentist and they start drilling around on that tooth, splashes that stuff everywhere, they didn't think it was toxic in the first place putting it in, so guess what they say? No big deal, we'll take it out tomorrow. You want to come in tomorrow? You have to go to somebody who knows how to do this. Now, has anybody had a filling taken out by like a real biological dentist? Anybody? Okay, would you mind just real quick, one tooth, how much? Was it in the magnitude of like 1,000? Yeah, right? So if you have 2 of them, that's $2,000. No, listen. A 97%er is going to say, I don't have $2,000, right? Depending upon how many teeth. I've seen it as high as $30,000. I had somebody had 6 of them. But you have to understand this. Is it a lot of money? Is $30,000 a lot of money? That's you to answer. I think $300,000 for getting breast cancer and having 2 rounds of chemo is a lot of money. I don't think $30,000 is a lot. But now here's what happens. Your brain instantly starts going, but I can't do that. Who's telling you you can't? Do you guys realize there are methods and ways to make it so you can make things affordable? But you have to decide. It's your choice. I am not saying that you have to go out and get that thing done immediately. I'm saying get it tested to find out if it's leaking, and I can help you with that. There's an easy way to do that. Understand that your thyroid is intimately connected to everything in your body, so if you have teeth problems, you have thyroid problems. And this, right? All of this stuff, if it's in your house, I recommend get rid of all of it, because they're finding out that these chemicals like BPA, halides, perchlorates, pesticides, PFCs, and mercury are often found in all of your cleaning products. Can somebody give me an idea? What's the consistent theme amongst these as far as their color when you pour them out? They are all what color? Green or blue. That is the presence of certain chemicals called xylenes and phthalates and stuff like that that make it that color. And so the problem becomes we associate this with clean when in fact it's dirty for the human body. Would you ever expect that fish to live if you poured all of that inside of this bowl right here? Would it happen? But yet you'll wash your clothes in it and you'll let your body absorb it every day and not even think twice about it. There is a pandemic today of disease because people do not understand the connection between what's going into them and how it's causing problems. And watch, you get the filling taken out, that's just step number 1. We got to pull the mercury out of you. And I can take you guys safely through this. It is not complicated. You just have to know, do you have the problem? Does everybody in here have a mercury toxicity issue? No. Does everybody in here have a leaky gut? No. But some of you do, and you need to figure out if it's you or not if you want to get healthy. Now, the other challenge becomes this. I looked up mercury toxicity symptoms. Like, okay, if you have these fillings in your teeth, you may have toxicity from the metals in your body. Help me out with this. How much of these look like thyroid problems? Is fatigue a thyroid issue? Is forgetfulness a thyroid issue? Are digestive issues associated with thyroid problems? Constipation, diarrhea, irritability, autoimmune, insomnia, cold hands and feet? Doesn't all of this look like a thyroid? So, but what is it? Mercury. So what if your thyroid problem is just simply you have too much mercury in your body? Do you guys realize it's so simple? One cause, like freedom. Go get the tooth out. I'll help you with it. And it'll save you thousands of dollars. And then second, mercury detox. I promise you, and I can walk you through that. Very easy to do. So if we clean out the gut and we clean out this, here's the challenge. If you just do those two, if just all you do, you'll get healthier, but what? It's still unstable. Does that make sense? So often what will happen is you detox, you feel good, but then what happens? The symptoms come back. You pull them, I'll answer in a second. You pull a tooth out, of mercury out, you feel really good, but then your symptoms come back because you need the stability of the third leg, which is neurological health. Yes? Yes.
Does that include supplements or vitamins?
Well, it could be. Okay, can I answer this real quick? All right. She said, are supplements and vitamins and nutrients and stuff like that considered like a medication that might need to be removed? Okay. The problem today, tell me if you'd agree with this, is a lot of over-the-counter supplements are synthetic. Okay, so like they kind of act like a medication. So the answer to that is I don't know yet, but we would find out by seeing is your body absorbing those nutrients. Number one, how would we do that? We'd look for a leaky gut. If a gut is leaking, you're not absorbing them anyway, and you might be causing another problem. Number two, we'd run panels to see is calcium actually in your blood? Is magnesium there? Is everything inside of you? Sometimes you guys take stuff that's causing more problems because you can't absorb it anyway. And so you're just throwing money away by going, well, I heard B6 is good for my nerve system. I'll take B6. You're going after symptoms. I hate to say this because, listen, I use supplements. But if you take a supplement to try to fix a symptom, what are you doing? That's medicine. It's medicine. It's the approach. It's the medical approach. Don't take supplements. Like I have people do this all the time. Hey, garlic's really good for headaches. No. Hawthorn berry, CoQ10, all this stuff's supposed to lower blood pressure. No. That's a symptom. Find out what's causing it. Could that help you de-inflame? Could it help you heal your gut? Yes, you guys see it? These three are what make yourself healthier. The challenge is this, okay? Who asked that? Okay? Cod liver oil is a specific type of omega oil. I would watch out because you can take too much of a healthy thing and make it abnormal. It's about ratios and balance. What I would do, for me, what I do is every single year I run a panel on myself to find out how many vitamins, minerals, nutrients, are my enzymes working. I do the blood work that I'm going to offer you guys today every year to take a peek and see what's going on. If my levels are good, I don't need to supplement with it. Your body's designed to heal by itself as long as you eat clean food, keep your gut clean, detox your body, and make sure nerve system's working. Does that make sense? Now, to show you the connection, this is what everybody misses. Your thyroid is sitting right next to your 5th and 6th and 7th bones in your neck, okay? So sometimes people say to me stuff like, yeah, you know, I also have this, like, my neck hurts. Anybody? Like, especially right through here is where it is for almost everybody. My neck, like, and what we do is we go like this. I need a massage. I need a vacation. I need this, I need that. Those are okay to do, but the problem becomes if it's irritated because your spine has a problem, either a disc issue, a bone out of alignment, a nerve that's pinched, that's the third leg. So look, I could pull the mercury out of my mouth, all of them. I could detox mercury from my body. I could clean my gut out and still not get well if what happens? Brain is going, I can't even see the thyroid. Does that make sense to you guys? If I took these three nerves, which control the thyroid, and I cut them in half, your thyroid would be sitting there going, where's the brain? I don't have any brain connection. Does that make sense? If I cut the nerves to all of your right leg, what happens? You can't use it. So what's missing in most people's health regimens is an assessment of their neurological power. What happens is your thyroid sits right there, and these two bones, the openness of the nerve and the thickness of the disc determine if your brain says, I got you, thyroid, I'm on the job. Does that make sense? Do you guys understand this? So if three legs, if I am chemically clean, and I don't have a leaky gut, but I have a thyroid problem, I instantly go, that's a nerve system issue. You need to have your neck adjusted. You need to clear that out, and then you'll heal. If I don't have a neck issue and I have a thyroid problem, I think it's a leaky gut or it's chemical stressors. Do you see the approach? It's got to be one of them. It has to, or it's all three of them, or it's two of them. Your job, though, is to figure out which of them it is. What should happen is a thick disc, an open nerve, and brain connected to it. What you would want to see with your neck is a C-shaped curve. The problem today is that most people don't stand with their head over their shoulder. How do we stand? Okay? Now, most of us will say, well, this is just me getting older. They're now calling it tech's neck. They're calling it like a technology neck. They're calling it like the fact we look down all the time. We're stretching our neck out. And nobody's assessing this because usually you can't feel this. You would never know that this is happening inside of you unless you're going my neck. And some of you I just saw, right? You're going my neck. All right? Now watch. When you look at how your brain works, your body was built with sort of this information highway. Brain is aware of everything. You guys agree with that? Okay? If somebody takes a needle and pushes it into my left toe, what happens is it goes, and the brain says, hey man, left toe, there's a problem. And then instantly, do you guys know this? Instantly, the brain says, all right, send red blood cells, white blood cells, neutrophils, everything down to that left toe. Why didn't it send it to the right toe? There's no signal from the right toe. It's very important you understand this, right? If you have a free, unobstructed issue or no problems with your spine, brain says, man, I got everything. Thyroid, I got you. Heart, I got you. Lungs, I got you. Everything works. Everything's functional. If there is an interference, if one bone even slightly slides to one side or the other, or a nerve is pinched, which you guys have probably heard of pinched nerves before, yes? You irritate that system. So what the brain is doing is it's going like this. I don't hear that there's a problem, or I want to fix it, and the message gets jarbled. So it would be the equivalent of this, okay? What is that? Can somebody help me out? Okay? What's the difference between this one and this one? Right there. Can you see it? Now watch, okay? I'm going to ask you something. If this went to the dryer and that went to the dishwasher, do they work? Be careful. Do they work? They do work. But why aren't they working? Do you see the difference? See, medicine's like, nah, man, your thyroid's bad. Your thyroid's bad. No, your thyroid's probably fine. There's no power running to it, so it's not functioning. Does that make sense? Now, if I'm going like this, man, why isn't this thing working? I'm going to call, hey, repairman. Yeah, okay, Tuesday? Sure. Now. Come on, now, okay? So he comes, and he does all the tests, right? He's got his things. He's measuring. He's like, man, I don't know. This circuit board could be this, could be that. He'll replace things left and right. Is it going to work? Okay, what if he's like, hey, you know what? Let's add another pump. Let's put a battery on that pump. Let's put a battery on that pump and make the pump work. Is it still going to work? Okay, a really good mechanic, technician would say, I'm going to go check to see if there's electricity to this thing first. He'd come out to the garage and he would go, oh man, you blew a fuse. So, and what happens? Works. Now what did he do? He had to change the alignment of the fuse to reconnect the electricity. Did you guys see this? Watch. When you have a fuse blown in your spine, oh, this is huge, isn't it? I can feel it. When you have a fuse blown in your spine, it doesn't work. Not because it's broken, not because it's dead, but because your brain is going, I don't even see it anymore. The degree of the amount of compression can be detected. This is a scanner that I use. It's an electromagnetic scanner. We roll it all the way up your spine from your base to your skull, looking to see where is there an interference. This is my assistant, Angela, who you guys met. Remember her story in the beginning? She's been working for chiropractors for years. She's studying health. She's doing everything right. She comes into my office and she goes, I want to work with you. My very first thing was, listen, if you're going to work for me, you have to have your health in your body. You have to. And I got to help you with it. So I did a scan, and where are her fuses blown? My God, right? Can you guys see them? All throughout the neck. Now, who remembers the number that was connected to the thyroid? 5671. Remember that? So if I do a scan and I see this and I see 5 is okay, 671 is out, I go, man, that's thyroid. Now, out of curiosity, does anybody know what the upper part of your neck controls? C2, C3, C4? See, most people have never been told this, right? Sinuses, number 1. What's that? You said sinuses as well?
Wow.
I know, right? So, whoa, my God, right? This is going to blow your mind. Digestive system. Up here, digestive system. Liver, pancreas, gallbladder, and intestines. So not only does she have a neurological block to her thyroid, but she's got a neurological block to her intestines. And so guess what's the cause of her thyroid problem? All of them. You get it? Gut's leaking, but leaking because of the spine. Thyroid's non-functional because the spine's not connected to it. So I said to her, I'm like, well, listen, okay, even if you look at anatomical text, go on Google and type in spine nerve function, find thyroid, and they're going to go, oh, man, it's in your neck. C4, C5. We go and we say, okay, man, if I'm going to dissect somebody to show you what a C4, C5 nerve root looks like, it's that. Now, here's what's crazy. Little tiny hole. So here's your brain stem. All the nerves go through a little tiny hole. The hole sits inside the neck. And that nerve right here, that nerve, see that bundle right there, is made up of 3 components. One is motor control. If I want to move something, I need to have the ability neurologically to do that. Did you know your thyroid has to actually move? It has to go and squeeze the hormones out. Second, it has to do things automatically without you thinking. Right now, can somebody raise their T4 levels by going like this? Maybe if you practice long enough. But you guys understand, you have things that happen inside of you without you even knowing it. There is automatic control in a nerve. There is motor control in a nerve. And there's sensory in a nerve. But now here's the challenge. The sensory is not pain sensory. What kind of sensory is it? It's sensory this. Brain, can you hear the thyroid? Can you hear it? I can hear it. Now could you pinch it to where you block the sensory off and have the motor okay and have the autonomic okay and not feel this? You guys see that? Can you pinch a nerve and not feel the pinched nerve? Yes. Could you pinch a nerve, have no pain, but have functional problems? My heart's not beating right. My thyroid's not working right. Yes. The challenge is medicine says, well, you don't have a pinched nerve, because if you had a pinched nerve, you would. Oh, it's a lie. It's 100% a lie. So I did an x-ray on Angela's neck, including scanning her spine and doing the gut test and doing the blood work, and I noticed something unique. Okay? Notice, what does a normal neck look like? Ready? Here it goes. Come on. Come on. There it is. Normal neck has what? Open and, see the curve? And I know it's hard to see because the lights are on, but do you guys see? Would you agree there's a space between there? Yes or yes? Is there a space between there? 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 Should have spaces between every bone. The nerve channel, remember I said little tiny hole? The nerve channel is visible on x-ray right there. See it? And right there and right there. Now, I did Angela's scan and her test and her x-rays, and I went and I said, wow, what is missing in her neck? Number one, does she have a curve? What's on with this disc compared to that one? Who can close down? Meaning the nerve is pinched. Meaning, even if she says, I don't have any neck pain, I go, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Blocked. I started adjusting her. Now, who's been to a chiropractor before, out of curiosity, okay? Here's what most people think chiropractors do, right? And then you leave. That is not what I do, okay? First of all, I do not do crack, crack, left, right, okay? That has been proven not to move a spine. We have to physically sort of gently lift the disc, and I use this instrument that taps. Those of you who are patients know what I'm talking about. Some of you guys, I think I've heard it's called the jackhammer is what I've been told. I call it a spinal adjustment, but it's this little thing with the prong. You put it on the back of your neck, and it just taps very lightly, and what you do is you pull the skull back, and it goes tap, 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 and its job is to open the disc. I did that for 2 months. I saw her 12 times. What happened in her neck? Supposed to be 45 degrees. Now, did you guys hear how much weight did she say she lost in that 2-month window? Did you guys hear it? 35 pounds. Unique thing is I told her, stop running, don't go to the gym anymore, and I'm not even going to do anything with your diet yet because she wasn't testing positive for dietary issues. She was testing positive for spine issue. I'm curious, do you know what your neck looks like? Do you know on the inside what the angles are? If you've never had an x-ray done, man, you got to get it done. So part of my offer, remember I said before, it's like I'm going to help you with reducing the cost of the blood test if you guys want to have this done. You guys remember that? I'm going to include not only the blood test, but I'll do a full neurological assessment. I'll do the leaky gut test. I'll do the composition scans. I'm going to basically pay for you to get every test done. The only thing I ask is recoup the expense of the blood work. It costs me $497 to run that blood work panel on you. When they swipe my credit card, it says $497 for each person. All I ask is if you want to get it done, repay for the blood test for me so I can figure out what's going on, and I will include everything else for you on the house. Does that make sense? All included. And you'll get a second visit where I'll show you, okay, man, here's what that panel says. This is what's going on. Your gut is here, your chemicals are here, your spine is here. Here's what I'm going to do for you also. I'm going to do some therapy for you. No cost. One adjustment. I'll give you some sort of dietary recommendation to change, and I'm going to say, I want to see you in 3 or 4 or 5 days, however many we determine, and then I'm going to sit down with you and go, okay, before and after, one adjustment. Before and after, your detox, your whatever. What happened? Where'd your blood sugars go? How much weight did you lose? Right now, on average, by the time most people come back, they're already 5 pounds down, feeling better, and we got a plan. Now we know what to do. And on that third visit, I will show you where we can head from that point. Does that make sense to you guys? 3 separate, unique experiences, 2 hours total time in my clinic. The only cost I ask is recoup the blood expense. And who is that for? Only the person who says what? I want to do it. Does that make sense? I did not come here to get new patients. I came here to teach, educate, and hopefully inspire you to make a change in your life, because I know one thing: if you find out what's wrong with you and you act on it, your body's designed to heal. God gave you an ability to heal inside of you, but if it's blocked and it's restricted, it cannot activate, and all you have to do is open the channels. Open the channels and your body heals all the time. Normal neck, this was now back in 2015, and we have newer x-rays with her, but almost near normal. I promise you, you get your spine fixed, you get the curve back into it, you open the discs, it's going to reconnect. It is the third leg. It is what almost everyone is missing. So the challenge becomes, if you never knew you had this, how do you know to go after it and to get it rechecked? Is this better? Is it better? Is it perfect? Now here's the secret. You're going to constantly have to work on your body. I don't know about you guys, but I still have to shower every single day. I hate it. Every day. I've been doing it for 39 years. I would assume I'd be clean by now. I still have to floss every night. I still have to brush it every night. Why do we have to do that? Because our bodies require maintenance. The problem is some of you have never maintained your massive systems. You got to maintain your gut. You got to get the chemicals out, and you got to keep your spine moving. Not just chiropractic, but it's got to be in the right place, locked and loaded, ready to go.
How about the genetic connection? A lot of what I'm hearing is that you're genetically predisposed.
Listen, okay, so can I be truthful with you? Did you guys hear her question? She said, what about genetics? I've been told I'm genetically predisposed. All of us have genes inside of us, and I'm just going to say genes, all right? DNA, all right? How do we express those genes? Like, how do we turn them on? What you're going to be taught by mainstream medicine is you have this mutated gene, and because it's present, you're going to get sick, okay? They do this a lot with cancer, don't they? You have the BRCA-1 gene, you're going to have breast cancer. Your only solution is cut your breast off, and I'm here to tell you that's medicine's approach. Are you guys okay? I know, listen, I see some of you starting around. What is very important, you got to pay attention to this. All of us have bad genes. All of us have mutated genes. If you are inflamed and toxic, what happens is you can't get the toxins out because your cells respire just like you do. So if, like, say, carbon dioxide, toxins, waste products, etc., keep piling up, they activate the gene. They turn that gene on. Genes are like a bullet. Do bullets kill people? Do guns kill people? No. People kill people when they pull the trigger with a bullet inside. Your genes are just bullets. You determine if you pull the bullet gene or not by the amount of toxicity inside that cell. What we now know is you can turn on a gene or you can turn a gene off. Have you guys studied or heard about this? Epigenetics, the field of how your lifestyle influences your DNA expression. Tested and proven it's only 2% of disease is connected to a genetic source. And if you had a genetic disease, when would you notice it? When would you say, man, that looks like a genetic disorder? You would at birth have a defect present. If you're 60 and all of a sudden you become a type 2 diabetic, is that genetic? It cannot be. What it is it's an induction that we all have. We all have defective genes if we induce it or not. What is it that induces it? That chemical stress leg and the leaky gut leg, because it creates the irritations in the first place. It's a great question because some people have been told their health issue is because of their family. You inherited this. Technically, what did we inherit? We inherited the lifestyle, the way of eating. We inherit the medications from our mom and the toxins. We inherit the stuff that messes up those three legs, and that's why we get sick today. So I'm here to tell you, easy. Check it, fix it, check it, fix it, check it, fix it, and you're guaranteed to get repair in your body. So I want to do a quick summary and then give you guys some calls to actions and some plans. Who can tell me what the 3 causes are that create thyroid problems? 3 causes for thyroid issues. Yep. Yep. Disconnection, okay? Real quick. How do we test to see if you have a leaky gut? Yes, right? I love that. What would be the actual test, though? Reverse T3 is looking at the conversion process, right? So if you have a really high reverse T3, that means your intestines and your liver and everything are congested. What's a simple way of looking if we have a gut issue? The amount of fat. I have a scale in my office you can stand on and it goes brrr, ching, and it tells you how much fat's here. Real easy to do. And I will do that for you guys if you want. Okay? How do I find out if I have chemical stressors inside of my body? We're doing a test to look for them. Remember, ESR, C-reactive protein, homocysteine. We're looking for inflammation. You can also open your mouth, look at your teeth, find out if you have fillings there, right? How do we check for neurological dysfunction to the thyroid to everything else? We look at your spine to see if they're in line, right? Okay. What tests then? Oh, we already did that. Will your medical doctor pay for a lot of these tests? Could you go to them and have them done? You can ask. They can take x-rays of your neck, but then will they analyze it the way that you need to have it done? Right? And so what's the one thing, I'm curious if you guys can figure out the one thing that reverses all disease. What's the one thing?
Wanting to do.
Wait, it has to do with action, but where does the action come from? Yes! You! You guys get it? You are the one thing. It's so simple. You have it inside of you. You have the ability to heal. You have the power. It was God. All you need to do is act on it. And I realized that decision, just like I realized what we talked about in the beginning, what's the difference between success and failure in our life? The decision to decide to do something. Every time you interview someone who has had something great happen in their life, I promise you, there was this one day I made a decision. I ask guys who somebody blows up a business. They take it to like $1 billion. They're like, well, man, I went bankrupt. And that one day I had to decide I'm making a change in my life. Often for us, it happens when we get really sick, isn't it? That time I got that diagnosis, man, I'm after it. I studied everything and I became a specialist in that. That was that one day for them. I pray that today is a one day for some of you to get a test done, but it's your decision. Does that make sense? You are the author of your health. You are the guide. You get to do it. If you need help, though, because if you're going, hey, man, I'm an author, but I don't know how to write a book, let me help you with it. If you're going, I know I'm in control of my life, but I don't know what tests I need to get, let me help you with it. It's real simple, guys. As we're closing out today, here's what I suggest that you do. And again, it's your decision. You've got this half sheet. Can everybody tell me if you have a red folder, you got a half sheet inside of there. And the half sheet basically says this: name, information, phone number, email. And over here on this side, it'll say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, etc. Apparently, our Thursdays are blocked out. We don't have any Thursday appointments, so it's blocked. All right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. If you want to do this evaluation, again, remember, it's a blood test. It's a full evaluation of your health. The scans, the x-rays, everything that we talked about. You just simply write your name, put your information, and do this for me. Circle the time that is the best for you. And then put an alternate time. So everybody watch up real quick. If Wednesday at 3:30 is like my best time ever, I'm going to circle that and put a star next to it. But just in case Wednesday at 3:30 is not an availability, would you please put a follow-up or a secondary time? Does that make sense? Hey, if you don't have that, I could also do Monday at 3:30. Put a star next to the one you want, and put a circle next to the one that would be okay if we don't have that one for you. Does that make sense to everybody? The other thing that I ask you to do is slash right through that 897 and write 497, Because all you're paying for is the cost of the blood test. Everything else will be included and built into it. 3 separate visits, 2 hours total for me to go and digest everything into your health and figure it out. The other thing I ask is that you would sign your name at the bottom so that when you take it back to the back, it is a confirmation that you understand everything included and it acts as part of the receipt for today. Does that make sense? If you have a question about scheduling, how things work, etc., my team is going to be available for you guys. I know there's going to be some people going to the back, so they are there for you. Does that make sense? You guys are still thinking yes? It's pretty easy, right? Circle the times, put the dates. When you head out, straight back to the back, my team will be for you. Now, I normally, every Saturday, do what? Radio show starts at 3 o'clock. I have to leave basically almost like now because I have to get there and get some stuff set up. I know, though, that some of you might be going, oh, man, but I got this question. I burning question. Do you guys realize the reason that I'm paying for almost all of your stuff, 3 visits, all included, is so that you can ask me that question and I can take you directly through it and you're going to get an answer to your health. Does that make sense? So, I want to know, did you guys learn something today? Yes. Was it intense? Yes. Is it kind of like, right? It's because it's your health, guys. I take it that serious. I do realize I come at it intensely because you're important. I prayed over your seat. I know there's someone here today going, this is it. Even if you don't understand it all, I promise you, I will walk you through it. This is not a cookie cutter approach. I'm not going to say, swallow this, it's going to fix all your problems. I'm going to go like this. Hey, listen, Charlotte, right? Is that correct? Lynn, sorry, you're Charlotte. Would you like me to show you what to do? Are you okay, like if I, maybe for the next couple of months, teach you about these tests? Can I educate you? Would you like to learn more about your health? Okay, she's shaking her head. Some of you probably are on her side. What I do is that. I want to teach you how to become your own doctor so you know what you need to know to go after it. And here's the beauty of it. Once you get healthy and once you get well, who can then take care of themselves? You can. It's so freeing. I don't ever have to worry about something going on with my health because I know exactly what to do for it. And I would love for you guys to get to that level. All of you can be a doctor. You just need to have somebody teach you. Thank you guys so much for coming today. It was an honor, truly.